Hey crew, I've got the key to this 24 BMW M3 CS, and today we're going to see what it's like to live with. Starting with the spacing in my driveway, which is 16 feet wide by 19.5 feet long, I've got the CS parked just a few inches in from the edge, sitting next to my mother-in-law's older Lexus RX, and that one is parked about a foot away from the edge with the front tires angled in. If this vehicle was moved over, there would be plenty of room to wheel a double stroller through for our kiddos, but even as such, with the power folding door mirrors, I can walk between the cars no problem. The nose of the CS is parked right there before the gutter at the front of my driveway, and that leaves ample room at the back of the vehicle to walk in front of the hedge to my front door. When first hopping inside with the key fob in my pocket, I could put my hand on any of the 4 door handles that will unlock all the doors and unfold those door mirrors. And actually, this parking job is very similar to what you might find in a parking lot. So let's see about the door opening space. That is 1 defined notch there. Can I go 2? Yes, I can without touching the RX, and that is a great access point to the cabin, but I can't just throw myself into the interior because of these high side bolsters which are fixed and that carbon hump in the middle of these bucket seats. So I do need to carefully lower myself down over and around those obstacles, but the car isn't too low. Closing up that door. Hello cabin crew, thanks for joining for this day in the life in the M3 CS. Now in this video, I've got one objective: to find out if this car is too hardcore for daily life. All right, let's fire it up. But before I do, let me note that I do have the exhaust baffles closed because it's a very different startup experience with them open versus closed. So first, closed. Okay, there's that inline 6 come to life. Let's go hear the idle from outside. It's a deep rumble, but it's not going to upset anyone around you. Now let me do that again with the exhaust baffles open. Oof. Yeah, that's deep. That tone is going to cause a commotion, at least initially, till it idles down, settles itself down, but you may startle your immediate vicinity neighbors and maybe some parents. Oh, and before I hop inside, let me quickly show you that gutter at the front of my driveway. It might be an issue with this extended front carbon fiber splitter, so that's why I've got curb ramps set up at least to take 1 tire's load so that I can easily work my way in and out. Wouldn't want to bound up and down that curbing even with the curb ramps, but with those, I feel a little more comfortable. Let me throw in my belts here, but before we get rolling, let me show you where I would stick the items I bring with me every day. Key fob, that could of course go in your pocket, or it can go in this defined slot next to the wireless charging pad that does hold my smartphone nicely. In the CS, you don't have a formal console. Instead, you get this carbon fiber center area with a cutout for you to stick certain items. There isn't sunglass storage in this cabin, so I just put these in here, though I'm a little nervous about those scratching the carbon fiber or the carbon fiber scratching the lens. It's not a great solution. My wallet does also go in the opening, and then in the door pocket, I didn't have room for my 32-ounce water bottle, so instead, I had to take with me a single-use bottle, not my favorite. In the glove box, that was the only space where I could find room for my GoPro accessories, but even that was only after I removed the leather manual holder. So it's like, either have manual in there and nothing else, or take it out, stick it in the door pocket, and then you have space for something. So yes, unfortunately, the cabin storage inside the CS is not the best, but let's get our day going. I'm gonna release the parking brake, pull the gear selector over into drive, and then roll forward over the curb ramp on the left tire, dip the right, and clear the trash cans on trash day. Needless to say, if you want to stay on good terms with your neighbors, end your day and therefore start the next day with the exhaust baffles closed. While en route to my coffee shop du jour, I want to take stock of some around town details, things like the turn signal sound, which at first isn't an unpleasant tone, but after a while sitting at a light, it does become an irritant. Not that many BMW drivers would know, but just pointing that out. Now, turning radius test, wheel cranked. Oh, okay. That pushed me out further than I would expect for this size of wheelbase. So if you find yourself on a residential street like this one, you might be making a multi-point turn. At least if you don't want to damage that very expensive front end. And if someone were to cut me off in the M3 CS and I had to go to the horn, the sound would be powerful, upset, and yet dignified. Whether running errands or commuting in the CS, you're gonna hope that the ride quality is tolerable. And even here on this construction road surface, the CS does bob and weave over the changes in road surface, and you feel the vibrations in through the cabin of the stiffness of the chassis, but the pulses of the imperfections in through the seat are not harsh, surprisingly so, given the way the car looks and the performance capabilities. And that's actually helped by the fact that though these seats look very aggressive, they are in fact pretty darn comfortable when you're actually inside them, because the shape is ergonomic to a certain degree, the padding is solid, and the adjustability is extensive. Even these side bolsters, which look fixed, actually come in and out. So for most body types, if you're especially wide, whether via muscle or otherwise, you may not fit in them, but for other folks, you will fit, and the height adjustment is terrific. So even if you're on the taller side, here I am at 6 feet, I've got inches above my head of clearance, and the tilt and telescope of the wheel is terrific. Great driving posture for me. Oh, and the steering wheel, thickly wrapped and wrapped in suede, is really nice to squish your fingers into. Is that weird? I don't care, it feels great. It is worth mentioning that I have all the drive settings at their lowest level of intensity, and that's important if you want the most modest start to your day. And I can't really think of a situation outside of corner carving or hitting the track where I'd want to firm up the suspension, but if the relaxed throttle response of efficient mode wasn't cutting it, going into sport does perk things up without turning this car into a jerky movement every time I go to the throttle. And even though we've got carbon ceramic brakes equipped here, they don't squeal under braking, and you can ease your way up to the stop, except for that last part. It is gonna grab up on you, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that. It's tolerable though, and I do like that all these settings, including the start-stop system, which is a physical button, will stay that way even after you shut the vehicle off and turn it back on. For so many cars, it just forgets everything when you start it anew. And one thing that helps me start anew is a cup of coffee. So I'm gonna stop in here at Moon Goat Coffee Roasters. Look, the drinks at this spot, they're great, but I really show up for the sandwiches. This pizza pocket is a melty, delicious bite. Yes, indeed. And before you even ask, yes, of course, I am still drinking a decaf latte, because when you're driving a car this energized, the last thing you need is caffeine. But you might want a cup holder. And unfortunately, there isn't one in the console, at least not unless you want to take a risk on this open area. So you'll have to use the one in the door pocket, which is at an angle. So hopefully you've got a lid on and your drink is partially drained. When backing up, there is a high-res camera with trajectory lines and a wide view, but no additional camera views. No front view, side shots, surround view, none of that. You do get parking sensors, and the mirrors tilt down when you're reversing, which is great for parallel parking and, in my case, for backing in to my driveway. From a commuter's perspective, what's the M3 CS like to drive on the highway? First, I'll demonstrate passing power. I could either go into Sport Plus, or with my M1 settings, get those queued up, put my foot to the floor, and make a quick move to the left lane. Once again, you've got a gap, you put your foot down, okay. And there is no shortage of mid-range power. And when you're done having fun or changing lanes responsibly, then you can take it out of M mode, go back to the efficient engine response, and I'm going to quiet up for a minute and listen to the cabin volume at highway speeds. Well, I'm pleased with how little of the tire noise I'm getting inside the cabin, but passing that truck, I heard all of it. And there is wind noise that's coming in. I hear it generated around here. Either way, you could live with this. You could have a conversation with a fellow passenger, easy enough. You may have to raise your voice a little bit more to talk to the folks in the back. And for your commute, you don't have any driving assistance features to reduce fatigue. You just have regular old cruise control. It's not adaptive. And you just have a lane departure warning system, not a lane keep assist, no steering assistance. So that means you're paying full attention at all times. And if you've got a traffic heavy, longer commute, you may be missing those features. Can the sound system at least distract you from all the work you're having to do during your commute? Well, let's find out. I'm gonna have the wireless Apple CarPlay queued up here on this big screen. It's very easy to use, super responsive, high res. I just wish there were some physical redundancies for things like climate controls. Thankfully, that does stay at the bottom of the screen at all times and can be pulled up, but still requires you to look away from the road to use that, whereas a physical dial or something or button could just be accessed while keeping your eyes glued to the road. I digress. Back to CarPlay for our sound system test. There is at least a physical volume knob. And that looks to be about 60%, maybe 65 for the volume output. Let's go up to 70, maybe 75. A solid sound system. It blocked out a lot of the outside road noise. The quality was there. I felt enveloped by the sound, and the punch of the bass was significant. Moving on to errands in the CS, I'm gonna stop in here at Costco. Is the CS ready for my normal Costco run, plus a dog bed upgrade for my pup Obi? Well, to start, I wish the trunk lid lifted itself up, but here we go. Okay, I was able to get all the normal items off to the left-hand side of the trunk, leaving room on the right, hopefully for this dog bed folded over on itself. Here we go. I think this is gonna work. It fits! Now, after not being like those people over there and actually returning my cart, I can say that without, carefully, slowly, carefully, ever needing to fold down the rear seats, the M3 CS is Costco approved. But you didn't just buy the hardcore M car to make runs to Costco. You bought it to thrill you at the right opportunity. So here we go. Real world 0 to 60 test. I've got my race box set up here to record. To do launch control, I need to be in Shift Logic 3 and have traction control switched all the way off. I've got all that programmed into my M2 mode. So with that dialed, foot on the brake, pin the throttle, build up the revs, preparing launch, it's ready, let's go. There's 60 in 2.93 seconds. Car fast me likey, go quick. There aren't many cars that are gonna thrill you like this at a stoplight, but does the CS have what it takes to keep the fun going on the weekends? The twin turbo inline 6 is raring to go. And the all-wheel drive system and limited slip differential combo effectively gets that 543 horsepower to the ground, while the carbon ceramics put the stop before you get to the next curve. The stiffened platform is so stable through the corners, and the steering is terrific. It's not overly sensitive to inputs, but it isn't a slow rack. And the car responds immediately. Gives you the right amount of resistance to communicate grip and yaw. And these seats are earning their stripes now, holding me in place through the heavy G's I'm carrying. There aren't many cars that would keep up with this one on this road. So to answer the question, Yes, the M3 CS has what it takes to keep the fun going on the weekends, and in fact is so good that if you buy this car, you should go on Google Maps and spend a few minutes plotting out a longer, curvier way home from work. And after all that high-speed fun, I think it's time to put some fuel back in this 15.6 gallon tank. And the EPA rates the M3 CS at 15 mpg in the city, 22 on the highway, and 18 combined. If I saw 18 combined, then I'd have a fuel range of about 280 miles, though over the last 133 miles, I've been averaging just 15.3 miles per gallon. And at current fuel prices of $4.77 for 91 octane gas that the M3 CS does require, it's gonna cost me 74 bucks to fill this tank, and there isn't capless fueling, so I gotta work a little harder. The Bimmer's had its fill, and now it's time for mine, so I'm stopping in here at Kava for lunch. Great. Now here's the question, can I eat this at stoplights and then have a place to put it in between? Hopefully it stays right there as I accelerate. Yes, it does. It's lunch on the go approved. The next test will be of family friendliness. I'm going to install car seats in the CS, and this car has 2 sets of lower latch anchors, 3 top tethers. I like that the latch points are easy to access and that the covers stay there. You're not gonna lose them. Thanks to wide opening doors, getting the car seats inside is no trouble at all. Same goes for my daughter's rear-facing car seat. For forward-facing car seats, though the headrest can be folded down for better visibility, you will need to raise it up to get the tether belt through, then you can cinch it down very easily. I didn't move my driver's seat at all, and as you can see, my older daughter is gonna have lots of legroom here. If I go to the passenger side, with just enough clearance here for the rear-facing car seat, sitting in the front passenger seat, eventually, there we go. Gives me plenty of knee room here. I can stretch out my legs comfortably. My back angle isn't too upright. I'm gonna call this one family approved. As for older passengers, they really don't have much going on in these back seats. There are no air vents for one, no USB ports. I suppose they could share the one that's being split between the 2 front passengers. There isn't an armrest that comes down. They do get 1 touch up down windows, and there is plenty of knee room here. This is behind my seat at 6 feet tall. The foot pockets are nice and large. Thigh support is solid, and headroom is too. So you have the space, you just don't have the stuff. Now I've got the girls with me, and we're headed to Candyland! Yeah!
Ready to go to Candyland, bro? That's it, yeah.
Yes, she is. And I think on our way there, we can evaluate whether the M3 CS is family fun approved. Should we, Tali? Mm-hmm. And the way we find that out is with a blast off. You guys ready? Mm-hmm. Here we go. Remy goes, what do you girls think? Should we do it again? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. With some added G-force on that one.
We're up high, right, Daddy?
Up high and going fast. I think the M3 CS gets the family seal of approval for fun and function. And we made it to Candyland, which is an indoor playground. It's not a candy store. I know, I was upset too. But they seem to like it, right guys?
Yes.
Well, crew, at the beginning of this video, I pondered if this M3 CS was just too hardcore for daily life. And after quality time spent behind the wheel, I can admit there are a few things that would become bothersome if this was your only vehicle. It might seem small, but a lack of horizontal cup holders and a center console would be a headache for loose items and beverages. As for commuters, missing adaptive cruise control or lane keep assist would make traffic-heavy commutes even more of a chore. Then there are the seats. While extensively adjustable and decently comfortable when you're inside them, they are tedious to work around, especially if you're going to be in and out of the car often. On the bright side, the CS has agreeable ride quality, a big trunk, and can be driven modestly around town. But ultimately, it's the performance driving experience that may have you overlooking all of the CS's annoyances. I hope you guys have enjoyed this day in the life, and I will see you again next time.